Oh my gosh. Where am I? Who am I? Well, I think I'm Eudaimon Flex, VTuber extraordinaire. And as for where I am, I think I've woken up in some sort of back room. Come on, Yuda, retrace your steps. How did we end up here? Well, I rolled out of the wrong side of the bed, and then I fell through the floor while I was reaching for my phone. It's like my favorite video game, Skyrim, where the object collision isn't super good, so you quote unquote no clip out of reality. But regardless of how I got here, I still got to make content for the bros. So how about we walk through the back rooms while I review the Backrooms movie that I saw about a week ago. It's been simmering in my mind pretty well. We did see Kane Pixel's The Backrooms. And for those who maybe aren't immediately aware, like family watching the video, Backrooms is kind of like this. It's like an internet thing that took off not too long ago. Well, maybe a decade ago, really. Of these places called liminal spaces. Basically, it was a JPEG of a abandoned office building, and someone wrote a little story about it and said, hey, this is basically what happens when you fall into a pocket dimension. And that just stoked a lot of imagination, you know, and everyone started making videos and found footage type things, including this video game that I'm playing right now. One of the most prominent people making these videos is Kane. He goes by Kane Pixels on YouTube, and he is very talented. He makes kind of stuff. He's making YouTube videos just like this, but there's been a trend recently where YouTubers are making movies and breaking into Hollywood, basically. And I just think that is the coolest thing. They are making some really good stuff, fellas. Okay. You crouch? Yeah, you can crouch. Okay. But yeah, we saw the movie The Backrooms. And I'm gonna try and keep it as spoiler-free as possible, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to help it. There's gonna be vague spoilers for some of the emotional beats in the movie, I think. But I liked it overall. Basically, the story of The Backrooms is about this guy named Clark, and he is a middle-aged, divorced dad type. He is a furniture store owner, and he's seeing a therapist whose name I believe is Mary. And he is trying to kind of figure out where his life all went wrong. He got kicked out of his wife's house. Really, it's his house. He makes a point of that. And he's just wandering in the back of his furniture store, and then he finds kind of something like this. A really strange labyrinth of shifting hallways, things that don't really make sense. Distorted architecture, furniture from out of nowhere. And he just gets fascinated by it, man. He just wants to keep wandering and going further and further. But it's a bit of a horror movie, and they find out that actually there are things in the back rooms with him, and it gets pretty spooky. But I think the horror was pretty well done, but what I like the most is effectively the themes. You know, I believe that there comes a time in every movie where the movie kind of tells you what it's about. It ends up being a little on the nose, I think. Okay, a little eerie in here. But I was surprised when it seemed like the beginning of the movie was when that seemed to happen. Basically, the therapist made this like self-published cassette tape about how to escape like your trauma and your patterns or whatever, and she describes how we have neural networks in our brain that fire on the same habits, the same patterns over and over and over again, and how we become very stuck in our own ways of being. And as such, she basically sets up the... Sorry, I'm kind of freaked out right now. Well, this was a bad idea. Oh, okay, it's a little loud in here. It's a little loud in here. Okay, okay. Okay, come on, Yuda. You gotta explain it to the bros. You gotta explain this to the bros. You gotta tell them what the movie was all about. That's a chair. Anyway, yeah, so basically she explicitly explains that the Backrooms is almost like a metaphor for like the patterns that we're stuck in life, how we keep going back and forth, following the same patterns, the same hallways. We can't seem to break out of the life that we've kind of created for ourselves. And that is quite the metaphor for Clark, who's kind of stuck in his own habits and behaviors too. So... yeah. Ding. Floor 3, please. Okay. Oh shit. No way. No way. I didn't expect that to work. I thought that this was a regular, I didn't think that was an elevator. What? I thought it was just messing with me. Okay. There's different types of back rooms. The first one was more like an office complex, and this one is called the pool rooms, or the bathrooms. But yeah, anyway, so, okay, but, essentially, Clark ends up getting sucked further and further into his obsession with the backrooms, and he tells his therapist about it, and he does come off a little bit like a schizophrenic, you know? She doesn't quite believe him. He gets offended. I don't know why, because he's saying some pretty miraculous stuff. It's all true, though, of course. Let me turn down the volume a little bit. Controls? Volume? No? Hello? Ah, they were good. But yeah, effectively he is, he gets some of his staff to follow in with him, and then bad things happen. And we'll leave it at that. But Mary eventually tries to follow after him too. And there is a very profound scene in the movie where they meet back up and they confront each other and have almost like a patient-therapist sort of talk and relationship, to put it lightly. I've heard it described like when the credit card declines. It's a tense scene, and she's being honest with him at this point because her mind is being blown about how crazy and deep and dark this whole place is. She effectively tells him that he's the problem and he's at fault for not wanting to change, for blaming others, for deflecting. And funny enough, even though that was the harshest thing to say, those were the words he needed to hear. And you know, I'm a physician, and sometimes I'll have that moment where I'll know that the patient doesn't want to change, and that they are kind of the ones holding the keys to their own situation. But what's really nice and empathetic about the movie, what I thought was really high level, is the understanding that sometimes we choose to be stuck. Because we can't see a different way out. We're too stuck in our own trauma, our own memories, our own situation. So in that moment, I felt like I was the therapist and I was the patient. Made me think about my patterns of behavior, the excuses that I make for myself, especially regarding, you know, my career or my content. It was a bit of a wake-up call, is what I'll say for that. In terms of what the Backrooms is, we find out that there is a company called Async, and they used to make MRI machines that would scan people's brains. It's kind of like this. You step into a machine, and then they scan your brain, and then they make a copy of you. But maybe it ripped a hole in the fabric of the universe because what the Backrooms seem to be is a sort of almost half-sentient pocket dimension where it continues to copy things from the memories of the people who enter it. I heard it described in campy dialogue from the characters. They said multiple times, like, it's almost like you told someone to draw a dog who's never seen a dog before, and then they end up drawing the dog, but then the dog's all messed up. It doesn't really look like a dog, but it's kind of a dog. That's essentially what they were saying. That this is some kind of force that seems to be trying to replicate things. They also get into the idea that neurologically what a memory is essentially a pathway of neurons that you fire over and over again. And we know that when you try to remember something from your childhood, the more you remember it, it kind of gets corrupted a little bit. You kind of misremember, and then you would reinforce those misrememberings, right? And in doing so, you get sort of like, if you've ever heard of the Mandela effect, where people think that things happen, but it's all kind of a collective hallucination. We all misremembered together. Some people say, actually, it's a parallel reality. It's like the Fruit of the Loom situation, where did the Fruit of the Loom have a cornucopia or did it not? And people swear that the Fruit of the Loom logo, underwear logo, had a cornucopia. What was that? Did you see that movement? Okay. I see you. Anyway, as I was saying, it seems like the Backrooms is this sort of entity that continues to replicate memories, but imperfectly. Ding. Out of here, please. I'll take whatever floor gets me out of here. Now, what really gets crazy in the movie... Hello? Occupado. Occupied. Okay, okay. Okay, okay. We don't need to go through that floor. We're gonna pick a different floor. I think we've been here before. Are we going backwards? Oh well. Just keep swimming. Just keep walking. What else was I talking about? We were talking about memories. We were talking about, oh yeah. I heard a very good reading of the Backrooms. That the Backrooms is almost like modern day generative AI. Because what you're effectively doing is putting all of these pictures on the internet. You know, we have more pictures and data on the internet than we've ever had. More data than you could ever go through, and then we're feeding it to an AI, and then the AI notices patterns and can recreate it, and it reminds me of this concept of dead internet theory. The idea that the internet is more randomly generated slop like this than it is anything else. Almost like this infinite labyrinth. Basically, one of the reads of this is that maybe generative AI is kind of like the Backrooms. This creepy, eerie, liminal sort of production, devoid of meaning, but derived from things that are intensely, deeply meaningful, like photos of families, empty houses on Christmas, things people have built, places where people used to live but don't anymore. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I'm trying to say, in essence, a liminal space is a place in between. You saw that, right? You saw that, right? You saw that one, right? That wasn't just me. A liminal space, to be liminal by definition, is a place in between. Like a subway, a room that you pass through, a childhood home, a doorway. You know, I used to have these dreams. When I was young, we were watching a movie, and on the VHS tapes, there was a preview for a movie called The Terminal Man. And basically, it is based on a true story about somebody who gets stuck in an airport. And because they lose their citizenship, their country disappears somehow, politically, somehow. He gets stuck in the airport. He has no place of residence, no citizenship, and he effectively has no choice but to stay there until it can be sorted out. But you know, bureaucracy, it never gets sorted out, and he stays there for years. And eventually, I think he does have opportunities to leave, but he rather stay. It becomes more comfortable to him. And now that movie really messed me up when I was a kid, because I would think I would have this recurrent dream, especially when I was in medical school, and I was away from home and I would feel homesick. I would keep having these dreams that I'm stuck in the airport over and over and over again. You know how it's hard to read in a dream? I would read my ticket, I couldn't read it, I couldn't find the gate. I'd be traveling with people sometimes and they'd find their gate, but I couldn't. I'd ask people for help, but no one would help me, or the lines are too long to get people to help me. And all the while, the timer is ticking down. and my plane either takes off without me or I just never find it. In some variations of my dream, I do end up on the plane, but then the plane ends up crashing, or or it does something something wrong. Beep, beepity boop. So I used to have that dream a lot. It was very potent imagery for me. And eventually me and my roommate, we ended up watching the movie. And boy, when I watched the end of The Terminal Man, it made me cry. There's something very cathartic about it. So if you ask me what some of my favorite movies are, I don't know about favorite, but I'd say in terms of meaningful, The Terminal Man was intensely, intensely meaningful. I thought we were outside for a second. And unless we're getting abducted by aliens, maybe we are not outside. Okay. I stopped having the airport dreams as often after that, but I would still tend to have dreams like that occasionally. It's been a while since I remember the last one. I'm home. I don't think I should be down here. So anyway, did I like the Backrooms movie? I did. I liked it a lot. And I am very impressed that it was made by a 20-year-old. I think he did a fantastic job capturing the atmosphere of the Backrooms and bringing it to the big screen. And a lot of people nitpick. I think some of the inexperience shows through in like the quality of the dialogue and some of the personalities of the characters, but overall I think it is a intensely meaningful movie, a very interesting movie. It's a movie that meant a lot to me. It really tickled my Backrooms itch. Not so much a scary movie. It's more so intense and startling at times, but overall, it was pretty manageable. I'm home. That's gotta be Mars, right? That little red one? Okay. Finally, I'm home in my cottage in Alaska. After all of that. Do you see that? It's like there's a flickering in there. I don't know what I'm gonna find in this house. Hello? Anyone home? I think I picked the wrong house. Let's pick a different house, okay? Okay, that was one house. Something outside of the house? Oh, we got another house. Okay. I got juked by the houses. Oh, I can run. There we go. That's gonna speed up the... That's gonna help me get the speed run time. Oh, hey, there's a bag here. And some shoes. Someone walking around without shoes in this back room? What's that say? Women. Man. Oh. Found the elevator. Very good. I was like, am I gonna have to jump? I didn't know there was a jump button. Oh, where am I? I seem to have no-clipped out of the back rooms. Or my phone did. My camera. Hopefully someone will find my story. Will find my movie review and spread the good word that the Backrooms was a awesome movie. Anyway, guys, yeah, so that was playing the Backrooms game while reviewing the Backrooms. I heard you like Backrooms in your Backroomception. And in terms of the game that I just played, if you want a review of that too, very intense. I'd like to review the footage and see if there's some of those scares that I had were real, or if I was literally losing my mind. Otherwise, very intense, efficient experience, I think. For a little 30-minute game, gosh, the vibes were perfect. If we could have any other type of long-form game with that level of atmospheric quality, then I think I would be incredibly impressed. So, but alrighty, this is the video for the week, and hopefully some streams to come, okay? Everybody have a good time, and I'll catch you out of the Backrooms. Wink.